And the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to start my remarks this morning by recognizing the recent passing of a local hero and legend, Charles Blockson. Mr. Blockson was a Norristown native and the curator of one of the largest and most prestigious collections of African-American artifacts in the United States. He spent his lifetime collecting more than 700,000 items relating to the global Black experience, with items dating back as far as 1581. His passion for collecting was fueled by an elementary school teacher who told him that Black people have no history and were meant to serve white people. From that experience, he was determined to make sure that everyone recognized the vast sources of African-American history, knowledge, and art forms. He said, "My main goal in life is to build a good library of Black history. Knowledge is a form of Black power, and this is my part in it." Mr. Blockson was kind and generous and loved spending time showing his artifacts and teaching everyone about the historical and significant contributions and culture of Black people. He was such a gift to this community and the academic community at Temple University, where most of his collection lives. But we're privileged here in Norristown to have part of his collection right here at the Center Theater in Norristown. I would encourage everyone to see the exhibit. We had the opportunity to have some of our employees go and see it in the past month. When I was at Temple University, I actually worked in the building where his exhibit was. I was able to meet him personally and hear him speak several times. It's a great loss to our community, and my condolences go out to his family. Next, the Pennsylvania Broadband Development Authority is asking for your help in their work towards bringing reliable, high-speed internet to all of our residents. The PBDA continues to advance additional support and resources to improve digital access and skills to increase economic and social opportunities, especially in underserved communities. There are two statewide plans underway: a 5-year action plan for universal broadband service and a digital equity plan. Both plans are funded through planning grants made available by the National Telecommunications and Infrastructure Administration. They are being developed in collaboration to establish a comprehensive, successful, and sustainable path to connect all Pennsylvanians to digital opportunities. To help with this project, the PA Broadband Development Authority has launched a public survey to hear from residents across Pennsylvania. Your participation is valued and necessary to help guide where upcoming funding should be focused to meet your needs and the needs of the community. So please share this with your networks. The survey can be accessed at dced.pa.gov. And at our last meeting, we had a public comment regarding our campaign finance reports. So I'd like to report that our 2023 campaign finance reports for countywide offices, committees, and county judges are now available to view on our website rather than needing to request an email copy. The voter services team is in the process of digitizing the reports for school board and municipal candidates and committees and anticipate having those available online in early July. And moving forward, candidates no longer need to file hard copy reports with the voter services office, but they can email their reports to moncovotes@montgomerycountypa.gov. And finally, summer is officially here, and for the third July in a row, we are celebrating Crave Montco Month. The Valley Forge Tourism and Convention Board created Crave Montco to bring you some of the best dining experiences in the area to share with family, friends, and colleagues during the height of the summer dining season. You can enjoy special menu items featured at many of the area's diverse award-winning restaurants, wineries, breweries, and distilleries. So you can take a look at the dining guideline at www.valleyforge.org/restaurant/crave, or pick up one at the Montgomery County Visitor Center at the Valley Forge Historical Park. And that concludes my comments. I'll hand it over to Commissioner Winder.
Great, thanks, Commissioner Lawrence. Good morning, everyone. I would also like to recognize the extraordinary life and work of Mr. Blockson, a Norristown native, proud to have him from our hometown. His relentless and singular commitment to collecting historic African-American books, manuscripts, sheet music, journals, newspapers, photographs, posters, and more, are not only a testament to his work, but also to the love of learning and the community. As Commissioner Lawrence mentioned, despite the hatred and racism Mr. Blockson experienced, he grew to become a great influence on so many scholars, students, and people of all nationalities. As a collector, author, scholar, and lecturer, his impact on the study of African Americans is incomparable. Through his work, he has left a legacy of education, social justice, and love of community. Mr. Blockson showed us how we each have the power to positively impact the world despite being told otherwise. So thank you, Mr. Blockson, and condolences to his family. Last Thursday, I had the pleasure of spending part of the day, a half day, participating in the 25th anniversary of the Schuylkill River Sojourn. The Sojourn is a week-long adventure combining kayaking, canoeing, camping, education, and games managed by the Schuylkill River National and State Heritage Area. Included is an annual 112-mile guided canoe kayak trip on the Schuylkill River that begins in rural Schuylkill Haven and ends 7 days later at Philadelphia's Boathouse Row. I joined Commissioner Lawrence for 7 miles. He did 15 miles. The trip that flowed through Montclair, Norristown, Bridgeport, West Conshohocken, and other spots. All areas that were hardest hit by Hurricane Ida due to the proximity of the river. Since most of the Sojourn is spent in Montgomery County, it was great to see some of the exciting new projects and developments going on in these areas. About 250 people signed up for parts of the Sojourn, including about 175 people who, like me, were first-timers. I'm looking forward to going back next year and hopefully doing the full 15 miles, though my arms might tell me otherwise. The event hopes to raise awareness about area waterways and supporting a healthy and clean environment. Participants can make a personal connection to the river and the surrounding environment, which helps them understand its importance. I'm not sure how many of us know that more than 2 million people get their drinking water from the Schuylkill River. I think that knowing this helps to motivate participants and others to preserve and protect the river and its environment. If you are interested in learning more about Schuylkill River Greenways and its events and programs, visit schuylkillriver.org. Thanks.
Thank you. Full day next year, Commissioner. Full day.
I don't know.
Commissioner Gale.
And I would just like to take a moment to wish the county employees and members of the community watching today a happy Independence Day. This is our final board meeting before the Independence Day holiday and July 4th weekend. And it's important to remember the significance behind the holiday and the meeting. And may God bless America.
Thank you. All right, we will move on to announcements. And first up, we have our Department of Public Safety for the 30th anniversary of 911 in Montgomery County.
Good morning, Commissioners. 30 years ago yesterday, a significant change occurred in the way that Montgomery County residents contact emergency services. Before that day, if you had an emergency at home, you had to remember the unique phone number for your municipal police department, fire department, or ambulance agency. If you happened to be at work, grocery shopping, or visiting family or friends outside of your township or borough, you had to either know or quickly figure out that local emergency service provider's number as well. On June 28th, 1993, everything changed. For the first time, Montgomery County residents only had to memorize and dial 3 digits, 911, to request a police, fire, or emergency medical response anywhere in the county. Over the past 3 decades, we've answered countless 911 calls, and that simplified, easy-to-remember phone number has undoubtedly saved lives. While many things have changed over that period of time, we have several dedicated staff who were with us in June 1993 and continue to serve the residents of Montgomery County today as 911 telecommunicators, department leadership, and support staff. We'd now like to show you a video produced by our very own emergency communications supervisor, Chris Crave. Chris asked 6 of our staff who've worked with us for the past 30 years to reflect upon their experiences and the changes that have occurred over that period of time.
Where's your emergency?
30 years ago, the first 911 call in Montgomery County was placed, launching a revolutionary new service to better care for the needs of all of our residents. Since then, where we do the work has changed. How we do the work has also changed. But these 6 individuals remain.
My name is June George, and I was assigned dispatcher number 196.
Lou Chickarine, dispatcher 165.
Tori Rosa, dispatcher 321.
Lisa Iden, dispatcher 240.
Dennis Rangers, dispatcher 271.
Levette Iden, dispatcher 191.
They've handled thousands of emergencies, endured the long, stress-filled hours away from family, and continue to serve the county in various roles in our department. This is their story, and what makes them Montgomery County 911.
I think the biggest technological change we've seen in the last 30 years was the invention of the cell phone.
Technology and department growth.
The technology.
Technology has changed considerably over the years. It's incredible how it's developed.
CAD, the computer-aided dispatch system, has changed dramatically from text only to a very advanced system that uses mapping.
Technology and training, and I felt the calls were more personal 30 years ago.
Anytime that there was a storm, just because it ramps up the stress levels.
The toughest days are when I have to be woken up at the middle of the night because of a CAD issue.
Having been involved with so many tragic events, it's hard to distinguish it down to one specific event. They're all sad.
The days and weeks post 9/11 were particularly a rough time.
Incidents where field providers are seriously injured or suffer line of duty deaths are always the worst days for us here at the Communications Center.
The day Brad Fox was killed in the line of duty, I was the on-duty supervisor, and I left with feelings of guilt and wondering if we did enough as a shift.
Don't be surprised if after 37 years, some people in your family still don't know what you do for a living. Don't be afraid to make mistakes.
When you think you've seen it all, you have not seen it all.
It's challenging, but worth the commitment.
You have to have thick skin, and it's not for the faint of heart.
Keep up with your education and keep growing.
Rewarding.
Journey.
Meaningful.
Fulfilling.
Purposeful.
Interesting.
So on behalf of Director Vest, my colleagues, First Deputy Director Brian McKown and Deputy Director Jen Cass and I would like to thank you, our commissioners, for your support of our emergency communications mission over the past 30 years. We'd also like to recognize and thank the more than 1,000 former and current Montgomery County 911 telecommunicators for their dedicated service. Whether it be a Thursday in June like today or on Thanksgiving, regardless of the weather or time of day, they are always there to answer the call. Thank you.
Well, thank you all. That was an amazing video. I didn't realize we had 6 people who had literally been doing it for 30 years. You guys answer the call literally each and every day. We can't thank you enough. So, and I want to reach out to the 6 employees as well. But that was a great video. Well done. Thank you guys for what you do each and every day.
Thank you.
We actually have more than 6, but some people didn't want to do the
Oh,
video.
really? They
So
never-
we'll get you the names.
Okay,
So,
okay.
Thank you for all your support. We're very appreciative, especially over the last couple of years, but it's been very, very supportive, you know, yeah.
No, it's been great to learn about your operation and the work that you do. I always tease Todd, I've been to your public safety center more times than I've been anywhere in the last 6 months, but, and I'm coming for your job to do those tours, but it was really helpful to have that experience, learn about the work that everyone's doing, and just the camaraderie, the commitment, because it's a stressful operation, stressful job. So send my regards and thank you to everyone for their service.
Thank you.
I'd also like to congratulate you on the 30-year anniversary. I know other counties around the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania look to Montgomery County as a model to replicate our 911 response system. And again, the employees are truly incredible individuals. Every call they receive is a crisis or an emergency, and to have the type of temperament to deal with that is unique, and they're heroes. They're literally the first response to an emergency. So I appreciate the hard work and dedication they commit to our community, and all your leadership that makes it run smoothly. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Zellers, America 250 PA.
Morning, Commissioners. All good? All right, great. Good morning, Commissioners. Pleased to be here this morning to announce our first official activity as we get ready to celebrate America's upcoming 250th birthday, and also update all of you and the public on different things that are being done, being considered, work that's already been undertaken to prepare for this very unique moment in our history, in our work lives, and our personal lives. Next slide, please. I did want to start, though, with one thing. This is a bit of a tongue twister word. So I've prepared for anybody who needs it a little handy pronunciation for the semi-quincentennial. I did try and look it up on a Scrabble word score app this morning, and it broke it. I think it's too big a word for Scrabble, but if it was, it'd be quite an impressive score nonetheless. Next slide, please. So as I said this morning, I want to, just for everybody, I think folks come to this with different levels of understanding, and our public especially, what the America 250 effort is, and here in the Commonwealth what it is. Talk a little bit about what we've done so far, particularly some of the unique things that are happening or going to be happening over the next several years here, and then talk about our first official activity for this effort. Next slide, please. So at the federal level, there is a group that was created by the federal government several years ago, America 250. This is a group obviously led by the federal government. There's different federal departments. We actually had a chance to meet with one of the folks from the National Park Service, who is their lead person for those efforts in Washington, D.C. As you can see on the slide here, this is the description they use for themselves as they're putting this together. They've been working at this for about 5 years now. So if you visit their website, you can see what they're doing. And a great deal of the work as well revolves around nonprofits supporting legacy projects, which is a term that everyone will hear a lot over the next several years around this effort. Next slide, please. The national effort also has these different themes that they've built their work around. Themes that really celebrate the nature of America, what it is and what it can be. Something that we've been immersing ourselves in quite a bit, and we want to utilize to our advantage as we work here in our county on different activities, programs, and opportunities ahead. Next slide, please. There's also, every state has a similar effort. So here in the Commonwealth, we have America 250 PA, and I have learned that it is very important to follow the branding and the America 250, and then America 250 PA, and then America 250 PA Montgomery County. So there's a progression to these things, I guess one would say. But here in the Commonwealth, there's a group that's been working on this as well for several years. Montgomery County is one of the 65 counties at last count that have passed a resolution, which I think we did about a year ago, to mark the upcoming efforts. There's 2 remaining counties, we were told. One of them is a county I used to live in. I won't say which one it is. I won't shame them here today. But again, here in the Commonwealth, you can see the different themes that the efforts will be organized around. And a lot of it right now, as we've been getting to know the folks better who are leading these efforts, these are things around nonprofits and youth in particular. Some of the work coming up, you'll hear more about on Pennsylvania Day next month. to work with food pantries around the Commonwealth, again, to get people out, volunteered, engaged, and interested. Next slide, please. Oh, you missed one. Or maybe you missed one before. That's all right. We'll adjust on the fly. So here in Montgomery County, as I said, we have America 250 PA Montgomery County. This is a collaborative effort of partners, both inside our county government, our municipalities, historical societies, various just members of the public, and so many different groups of friends. And it really is an opportunity for everyone to get involved in a variety of different ways, because this is a multi-year effort. This is, and in some ways, we want it to live beyond 2026 as well. But again, we don't get to do this very often, so it's a chance for folks really to reflect, both commemorate and celebrate what our country's about and what it can be as well. Next slide, please. So thus far, the group of us here, county staff that have been helping to coordinate this effort, we brought folks together in April, and again, that was members of the different types of organizations I described a moment ago, each bringing really unique perspectives and energy and understanding as well. The various historical societies, they're so passionate about their individual sites. We have other folks that really want to see something big countywide, our departments and their expertise on things that we as a county can do to mark this moment and again establish a legacy from it as well. So I want to share a little bit about those things, and then some of the other work we've done as well, reaching out beyond our initial group, because it will help inform us, and I think it'll paint a picture for folks of just how big and exciting this particularly will be here in our part of the world. Next slide, please. One of the things that we did for the kickoff meeting, and I always like to do these things, and we'll come back to these as we go through the next several years, we did a word cloud. We asked folks, what does this upcoming moment in time mean to them? And you can see on the screen words you'd expect to see on there, the size of the word obviously based on the frequency of the response, and some other words on there that I hope in time we'll all see rise up and take up as much a prominent place on that word cloud, to make sure that we're really engaging a group of our population here in the county and getting folks excited about this and getting them interested and really making it, one of the words is that there's experience, really making this a unique experience that people reflect upon for a long time to come. Next slide, please. So thus far from that initial kickoff meeting, we have been procuring a list of volunteers for leadership positions. I know our Deputy Chief Operating Officer has been working with us on that to identify co-chairs to help us lead this effort. We want to use a model similar to what we did with the 2020 census, which was a volunteer-driven effort supported by county staff. Again, really make it an inclusive effort. As many folks as possible can roll up their sleeves and be involved. Our county departments as well are involved in different ways. I just had Scott Franton, who's still in the room, but he snuck up on me a moment ago, and he just had a meeting about an opportunity for something tied to America 250, so that's really exciting. We've gotten great ideas from partners. One person, for example, who's a board member of one of the commerce boards, I won't say which one, said we should work with a brewery to brew the beer that George Washington brewed in the 1770s. Other folks have said, use things that are already ongoing and give them that America 250 spin. Make that a part of what we're going to be doing over the next several years. Next slide, please. One of the most unique things for us here in our county and again in our region is we are in so many ways the focal point of what's to come. We had a fantastic meeting with the Valley Forge National Historic Park, and I have some of the unique things about the park up there as it gets ready for its 50th birthday in 2026. It is a really special place, obviously, to all of us, and we live with it every day, and hopefully they're very excited to work with the National Park Service, the Commonwealth, and others to highlight the story of Valley Forge, again, over the next several years. One of the most interesting things they shared with us that I wanted to share with everybody today, and I think it helps to frame not just what we're announcing today, but hopefully our work in the future. In addition to it being the 50th of the park and the 250th of our country, based on some research they've done, anthropological research, it's been about 25,000 years since the first humans were in this part of the world. And I don't know how life, liberty, and happiness were defined in the Upper Paleolithic era, but I think it's a reminder that as we go through this progression of marking this moment, that we need to and embrace and be mindful of all the stories that have come before us, make them a part of this moment in time, and leave a legacy behind so when people get to the tricentennial 50 years from now, some of us hopefully will be around for that, they are celebrating an even more joyous moment and a stronger union than what we have today. And as part of those discussions too, we've talked to our regional partners. Each county is doing this a little differently, as is the city of Philadelphia. They have a very organized effort. Again, they've been working on this for several years, as you might imagine, because, next slide please. Philadelphia will truly be the center of the world coming up in 2026. Obviously, the big event, Independence Hall and everything on the 4th, but throughout that whole year, there's going to be some really big and special events happening in the city and in the region as well, whether you're a college basketball fan, a golf fan, the World Cup coming, and I don't know if folks saw the announcement about 2 weeks ago, there may even be more World Cup matches now in Philadelphia than were originally expected. There's also tied into this, and I think, again, it's important when we think about this, this is 2026 as a moment, but as we're learning very quickly, this is a multi-year progression. There's, in some of our neighboring counties, events already taking place in the next 2 years for Lafayette's Tour of America. That was 200 years ago, starting next year. If you don't know who Lafayette is, watch Hamilton. You'll be fine. You'll figure that out. The Navy and the Marine Corps were founded in the city of Philadelphia 250 years ago. I've heard that the Navy is going to bring some pretty neat stuff to Philadelphia to celebrate that anniversary. And of course, the Philadelphia campaign, which is what makes Valley Forge such a special place, the 250th anniversary of that is coming up as well. Next slide, please. So for us here, we wanted to get people excited and started, and talking with the group of stakeholders that came together, about those 50 folks back in April and others, we have a really photogenic county, and we want to celebrate that. We want to get people out and excited and exploring our county. Next slide, please. So I'm pleased today to announce that we're going to have a kickoff photography contest for this America 250 PA Montgomery County effort. We want to encourage folks to get out to historical sites here in the county, the historical markers in the county, over the month of July, and take your pictures and send them in to us. We have 3 categories for the contest. Next slide, please. First and foremost, we really want to get the youth involved in this, because for them, this is all new. They weren't here in 1976, or some of them weren't even here for the 225th. I won't even try and pronounce that word. So we really encourage parents to get their kids out, take pictures at these sites, explore these sites, see something interesting, go out with their friends, make it a fun opportunity over the next month. And then 2 other categories, really, for those of us who appreciate great architecture or the great historical artifacts that are at the historical sites here in the county, to capture images of those, as well as just the natural beauty of the county. Maybe you like going somewhere at sunrise or sunset, or on a day after it just rained or something like that. Everybody has those things where they like to take pictures and go out and explore. So we really hope, and we're excited, next slide please, to get entries for all 3 categories, and hopefully overwhelmed by entries. So we've set up a website and an email address where folks can go, get the entry form, and then email their entries in starting next Thursday through the first Monday in August. We have a panel of judges that include the president of our community college, one of the rangers from Valley Forge National Historic Park, a representative of our historical society, and Donna Richmond was nice enough to volunteer to be one of our judges as well. It is open to county employees, I'll say also, so everyone here, you commissioners, you're invited and welcome to participate as well. And then we look forward to getting through the judging and then having the commissioners announce those winners in all 3 categories come September. And we hope to use these pictures for things like creating calendars and other things that we can begin to help spread the word about this exciting, multi-year process that we're going to be embarking on and celebrating together. And with that, that is my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Zellers. Any questions for? How come we're not starting on the 4th of July? Why can't we?
I figured it would give people a chance to go out and take pictures on the 4th of July, and then they could submit them later that week.
All right. Thank you, Dave. All right, we are now moving on to public comment on matters appearing on the agenda.
I have an objection.
Please state the nature of your objection.
Pauline Braccio, Talmenton Township.
I'm objecting to, we still have the 2-minute limit, and I think it's ridiculous because the law says it has to be reasonable, and 2 minutes is not reasonable.
Thank you. Your
Some people
objection is
have,
noted, Ms. Braccio.
it doesn't matter, you haven't changed it, and I'm gonna keep on objecting until you change it. So until the commissioners can actually, find their backbones here and actually do something about
Thank you,
it,
Ms. Braccio. Your objection is noted.
it doesn't matter that you noted it,
Ms.
I'm not
Start-
done talking about my
Thank you. I'm
objection.
gonna start your time then. If you'd like to make public comment.
No, you
start your
can't
time.
do that, because that does not apply to this. And you commissioners are a bunch of babies having a solicitor run the meeting, every meeting. So, I don't even know what you're doing there, Ken. You're not a chair of anything.
I second the objection that has been made by Pauline Braccio.
Noted.
Ms. Harris?
We have 2 people for a public comment. The first one on the agenda, public comment, is Pauline Braccio.
Pauline Braccio, Tubmanson
Just hold
Township.
a second.
I'll take the 220.
220 would be real nice.
Sorry.
Ready? Okay. I just wanted, again, I'm talking about the 2-minute warning. It's on the agenda under E and F. And, yeah, it is a 2-minute warning because it doesn't make any sense to have only 2 minutes. It used to be unlimited, then it went to 5. I'd be happy with 5, and I'm sure most people would. It is very difficult. People have to travel far when they do come in person. And, 2 minutes is just not enough time to say everything you want to say. And, well, sometimes it is for me because I've already just talked about it, but, I think it bears repeating. The 2 minutes is just too short. And again, I don't know why Josh Stein is running the show here. He doesn't even know what the law is, the Sunshine Law. I've asked you to talk to Kyle Summers. He's the solicitor of the North Penn School District School Board, and he's very well versed in this law. And I actually asked him to come and speak to you. He kind of just chuckled and said no, he would not. But I really encourage you, Josh, to reach out to him, because I'm sure you can learn a lot about this law that you don't already know. It's really kind of sad when, I've done more research on it than you have, and I know more about it than you do. And still you don't want to listen. So obviously either you are not capable of learning, or you're just flat out refusing to learn. But it is getting to the point of the ridiculous that somebody has to come up here every time and say, we need more than 2 minutes. And, Joe, I wish you would have spoken up before this. You did at one time say you were actually wanting to go back to unlimited, and then you just don't say anymore. And it's, and I'm sure that's a big part of the reason why you're not being reelected. I really wish you had stepped up. Thank you.
Next for a public comment on the agenda, we have Giuseppe Monticelli.
Giuseppe Monticelli, Conshohocken in Springfield. We're going to talk here about H3. It's going to be the commissioner's appointment to the Conservation District. I would highly urge commissioners that we get someone in here that cares about the habitats of our lakes, and especially our fish and creatures that live in the water. As Green Lane Park just turned into a cesspool, those fish are being killed off by the farm runoff with all the fertilizer. And we really need a appointment that's going to make sure that those primary issues are taken care of. K1, we're going to have a contract award going to Titan Mobile Shredding LLC, Pipersville, PA. That's going to be for $209,000. The problem here with that is you can use a company called Iron Mountain. They're based right here in PA. They have stuff in the mountains. They literally have government secrets held in the mountains. That they also do shredding. So they could come in with a way better price, and they have great financials. They're a publicly traded stock. It's really good. It's really good. You're going to need to do with the K6. It's going to be a camera system. I recommend Florida.
you need to go ahead and go to a place called Night Owl. They do some really good products, and I bet you they can install that with the product itself to be only about $15,000. So that's going to really cut down on the cost there. I mean, geez, you got some really, really good 25,000 there. And number 7 here, paving a lot at Eagleville. Yeah, vote in the favor for that. Thank you.
We have 2 people for general public comment, and the first
Anyone online, Teresa? Any general public comment online?
we're doing in the room first and then online.
Okay.
General public comment is Pauline Braccio.
Pauline Braccio, Township Township. What Mr. Blockson did was very admirable, that he took all of his life basically to do all that collecting, but his 3rd grade teacher misinformed him because slavery started back in Africa with African tribes capturing other people from other African tribes. It was really black people catching black people and selling them into slavery. And I think we lose sight of that. We want to make the white people the bad people. You know, it was on both sides. And also freeing the slaves was on both sides. So it was a concerted effort to enslave, and it was a concerted effort to free. And as an Italian, my father and mother came here from Italy, and they were very much discriminated against, horribly so. And even myself, when we moved from the Ambler area to the Hatfield area, we moved into a neighborhood where my father had built the houses. We moved into one of those houses, and I was actually called the N-word by our neighbors. We didn't stay there very long. So the black people don't have the market on being mistreated or being enslaved. And I just think that history should reflect the truth instead of always making it one-sided, because it just isn't. It just isn't. And things that are going on today are perpetrated by both sides as well. So I just think that we need to really study history and stop blocking out pieces of it that we don't like and actually put it all out there and just speak the truth. Because if you can't speak the truth, then what do you have? Absolutely nothing. Thank you.
Ms. Braccio, you shouldn't speak about the black experience.
Oh,
You don't
really?
know about
Why?
the
Because
black
I'm white. I grew up in a town
You can speak
that
about your
was,
family's experience, but.
No,
Mrs.
and you
Blockson,
don't have to speak about anybody else either then.
I'm not gonna be
okay?
complicit and allow you
No,
to.
I'm not gonna
Braccio,
have you
your
talk
time
to
is
me
up.
that way.
Ms.
It's not
Braccio.
interactive, remember? So don't talk to me.
The second person we have for general public comment is Giuseppe Monticelli.
Giuseppe Monticelli, Conshohocken Borough in Springfield Township. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about the bathrooms here and how they could be like Upper Dublin Library. Upper Dublin Library restrooms are extraordinary. They're fabulous. They're clean. Here, yeah, they're clean, but come on, guys, let's go to the modern times here. I saw something here on the docket, on the calendar, on the county website dealing with West Valley Green Bridge that connects the traffic from there to Bethlehem Pike and Springfield Township. I don't know what the project's going to be all about, considering we already had a project on that for multiple years, like back in 2018, 2019, that type of realm. I would be more concerned actually with the fish that are underneath there at the Wissahickon Creek. You do not have any conservation waterway officers from Fish and Boat going down there and patrolling. You need that. You're going to need that 100%. Why? Because you have people hand netting. They're using nets to catch trout. Highly illegal. I recommend you speak to the fabulous sergeants at, I believe it's the Southeast Division of Law Enforcement with Fish and Boat, and they can tell you that they have that hotline open. But what happens on the weekends when you see hand fishing going on? You're talking about 40 trout. We're talking 3 Home Depot buckets worth. So you can call up 911 and report it to the non-emergency line. Yeah, but there needs to be some follow-up. So that's what I would request, and thank you.
We have a couple of people that want to make public comment.
Okay, so Ms. Harris, at the next meeting,
Mhm.
we'll do online public comment matters appearing on the agenda, and we'll do like we've always done. So, because now we don't know what they're doing online, so, but let's call the online.
Okay. For anyone that wants to make agenda comments, please raise your hand. We have Deb Spence. Deb, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you, commissioners. It looks great that you all were out on the trail. I appreciate you doing that and being models to our community. It's pretty awesome. I also like to mention something about what's on the agenda. I see Norristown Library received a construction award. I want you all to remember us in Pottstown. We have a 10,000 square foot library that is also in need of repair. I'm not sure how that works to get your library a construction grant, but we have some sewer pipe problems, and it is going to be an extensive amount to get it repaired. And also, I love the presentation, the 911 presentation. Didn't know 911 was only around for such a short period of time. But there are people that use it and abuse it, call the 911 on Black people for no reason at all. Is there any way to get some kind of rule, law, legislation to prevent people abusing the system? I think it's extremely expensive to call 911 on someone for no reason at all, just because they're going around the county doing life like everyone else, just, walking, living, breathing. I don't think while they're doing that, police come and confront them because someone called the 911 system. And I think I mentioned it before, and someone was to get back to me about that. So I appreciate you all allowing me to do comment and on the agenda. And I also have another comment. I have to wait for the, I guess, public comment.
If you would like to make general public comment, please raise your hand.
All right, that was quick. Okay, awesome. Thank you. So I've been doing some research on building temporary housing, and I like to make a comparison to temporary housing community that NASA is working on to build in Mars. So in a short period of time with limited resources, it's extremely impressive. And I think the same principles and techniques used in construction of a community on Mars could be applied on Earth to build temporary housing. Technological advancements, resource efficiencies, module construction, collaboration, and knowledge sharing. For example, with technology advancement, there's lightweight, affordable construction materials, modular building systems, 3D printing techniques that can be used to construct temporary housing. As far as innovation and collaboration and knowledge sharing, there's an establishment of people that work to build and create in their mind, and even here on Earth as an example of what would be required in Mars. They collaborate from diverse fields such as engineers, architects, scientists. This collaboration approach can also be applied to developing temporary housing solutions on Earth. So if we're spending money to build a community in space, I think we can use that same mindset, the intent to do it. I have a lot of information on how to do it, and I really love for the county to support my endeavors and eliminate all of these barriers to get financing and approval to do so. Thank you so much, commissioners. I appreciate your love of Pottstown and all the things that you do.
Next, we have Marlene Laska. Marlene, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, hi, good morning. This is Marlene Laska from Oaks Precinct, Upper Providence Township. Three things I'd like to talk about. First, so glad to see the American 250 PA. Kudos to the county. Only thing to add would be on the word chart, word cloud chart would be to add constitutional republic. Second, a little early, but I want to welcome everyone to Patriotism Month. Given that July has our country's Independence Day, 4th of July, the month of July has been designated Patriotism Month with encouragement to not only wear the red, white, and blue colors as much as possible in July, but to also, to the maximum extent possible, display our U.S. flag proudly and patriotically. Third, I know this has nothing to do with the commissioners. However, I want to convey that the June Pride Month, which the commissioners did warmly welcome, announcing many Montco events and flag-raising ceremonies to celebrate the month. The month also had many parades, many of which turned out to be very debauchery. Seattle, New York, Canada. In fact, after witnessing such a parade, on a Twitter post, I posted a comment which read, "This is wrong. Humans were not meant to walk around naked. Even naive tribes wear loincloths. Plus, what right do you have to violate my saying? I don't want to see you naked. Put your D-expletive clothes on. Don't even get me started on the children, debauchery on full display. Also, in case you didn't know, pride is the first of the 7 deadly sins." Thank you.
That's all we have for public comment.
All right. We will move on to approval of the minutes. I'll make a motion to approve the June 15th, 2023 minutes of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners meeting.
Please state the nature of your objection.
Nature of the objection deals with agenda specificity and agenda availability. Under Senate Bill 554 of the 2021 session in the Pennsylvania Senate, the agenda needs to be present at all meetings, which it is, but the thing that is missing from it is the contracts. I would like to see the contract for Microsoft with the state of vaccine. It's not available. Same thing with all other contracts. They're just not available here. And agenda specificity, we're going to have to deal with having these things of not know what they're fully for.
Your objection is noted. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm going to make a motion to approve the June 15th, 2023 minutes of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Winder. Is there any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Minutes are approved. All right, moving on to resolutions. First up, an approval of a tax increment financing plan in Bridgeport Borough.
Good morning again, Commissioners. I'm pleased this morning to bring before you for your consideration and approval the county's participation in a tax increment financing project for the River Point development in the Borough of Bridgeport. And not only are we requesting approval of a TIF today, but also the county's participation in the first of its kind housing affordability component to this, based on the county policy announced last year that support from the county for these types of projects would require such a component. Kayleigh Silver is going to come and talk about that shortly. Joining me this morning, we have the developer. We're also joined by the borough manager, and making an appearance out of retirement, the interim director of our redevelopment authority, Mr. Jerry Nugent. Next slide, please. Just as a reminder, we haven't done one of these in quite a while. A tax increment financing project involves utilizing the increment of taxes increased due to the redevelopment of a site to pay off improvements to that site through the issuance of debt, which in this case is the redevelopment's administrative and financial role in the project. The county is being asked to remit 50% of the tax increment for a maximum period of 20 years, or the aggregate of $8.5 million, combined with the 50% of the taxes that the Borough of Bridgeport will be remitting as well for this project. The Upper Marion School District is not participating through the sharing of increment, but has provided in-kind support for this project, and obviously we'll be seeing an increase in enrollment due to the residential nature of this project. Next slide, please. To execute a TIF, there's a committee put together of the three taxing bodies, as well as the redevelopment authority and the developer in this case. We have met, all taxing bodies have agreed to the structure of the TIF plan. The Upper Marion School District has already voted to participate in the TIF plan. Again, while they're not providing an increment, they are a taxing body on the parcels in question. Following our vote today, the Borough of Bridgeport would take the additional steps that they would take. This is different than LERTA. Normally on LERTA, we vote last, but because of the statutory requirements for a TIF, the municipalities actually has the last vote on this. Next slide, please. With that, let me turn it over to Tony to talk about this great project that they have been putting together in Bridgeport for quite some time. A project which on a clear day you can see from the roof of this building. Tony?
Thank you for the opportunity to come and talk today. This has been a really exciting project for us. For those of you who may not know, for the audience, the old Continental Business Park burned down about 20 years ago and has been a series of failed attempts at redevelopment of the site. Presently, we have proposed and we are under construction for site improvements to allow for 262 apartments, 356 townhomes, 7,000 square feet of retail space. On an order of magnitude, we will increase the population of the Borough of Bridgeport by fully 1/3 when this project is built out. Significantly, the property has been underutilized. It was previously designated as blighted. It has been redesignated as blighted as part of this process. Again, from a tax standpoint, the property produces about $50,000 worth of tax revenue annually this year on about a $1 million assessment. Just in real estate property taxes, when we are done constructing, we will produce well in excess of $2.4 million and in excess of $4.1 million in net fiscal benefit to all of the taxing authorities. One thing to clarify that Mr. Zellers had said is that the school district will have additional enrollment. Ironically, this project, because Brian O'Neill had proposed it back in 2001, 2002, the school district has already been carrying the extra students from this in their background growth plan. So there will be no redistricting needed as far as we know. There's no additional school capacity that has to be built. It's already there. In terms of a TIF, this is a fairly unique opportunity. It's not often you get to have something that already has the background school growth for kids and has as big an increase in revenue from a taxing standpoint as this project has. In addition to this, we expect all site improvements to be completed somewhere around June of 2024. If you happen to stop over, the wall is partially constructed. In order to build this site, I said the wall, there's a 2,700-foot linear wall that's about 15 feet high, 8 feet embedded, 20 feet, 8 feet embedded, 12 feet above grade, where we imported 340,000 cubic yards of dirt to the site to date. That's over 28,000 truckloads that came through Montgomery County, and the school district participation in kind was roughly 140,000 cubic yards of that dirt. PennDOT has also contributed dirt, but we've been able to take from their expansion of the turnpike, all certified under Pennsylvania's new mandatory management of clean fill policy, which went into effect. So the site will be raised out of the floodplain. The site is filled with clean fill, and in order to redevelop this site, that was the first step in a very necessary improvement. The other upshot of building the wall is that there will be a trail built on the outside of the wall between the wall and the river that will be connected as part of the Chester Valley Trail. Next slide, please. We are fully entitled. We have all zoning approvals. We have all land development approvals. We have all Pennsylvania DEP required approvals. We have all conservation district approvals, including the import of the fill and also the connection for sewer. As I mentioned, this site, once built, will raise the site about 35 acres out of the floodplain fully. Hurricane Ida, when it hit, As tragic as it was, it gave us an opportunity to see what the effect would be. We were able to measure that storm and show that every home that we built in this neighborhood would not have been affected when the wall had been completed and built. But more significantly, that the rest of Bridgeport would not have been affected. At that flood stage, we would have a 1.1 foot impact on the storm. So if you're 30 feet up, 30.1 feet, 30.01 feet really isn't the impact the issue. More importantly, though, Bridgeport has a combined sewer overflow system and is under a long-term connection management plan with DEP. That means that their sanitary and storm run into some of the same system at times. Part of what we're doing is we're segregating part of that system, which will help the borough in its future, not only under this long-term management plan, connection management plan, but also because in a regular storm, even the typical 100-year storm, we will help manage that stormwater that's hitting down along Front Street, down at the bottom of Depot, down on First and Second Streets, or Second and Third and Fourth in those areas. Next slide, please. A site like this had some extraordinary costs. We had to build the wall. We had to bring in the dirt. We also had a PICO line that was running through the property that had to be relocated, and some towers had to be relocated, and work with PICO on shutdowns and upgrading that network, replacing some poles. We also had to relocate. The Upper Marion Sewer Authority had a force main that they condemned back in the 70s running through the site, and they kind of zigzagged around the existing foundations. So we moved that entire sewer system outside. The PICO costs are about $800,000. The cost to move that sanitary line were in excess of $800,000. Significantly, when we started this project, ductile iron, which is what the material used to build that pipe, was about $87 a foot, linear foot. When we bought it a year and a half ago, it was $137 a foot, and today it's $187 a foot, and with a 56-week lead time. We worked with the borough throughout this project. From day one, we invested over $2 million to put a fence up, take down the buildings, and made a commitment to the borough to see this project to fruition. Through COVID, we've seen probably a 35% increase in our costs. We have not gone back to anybody and asked to change anything, but we are, when you have a business model, and that's what this is, we evaluated it, and those cost increases we're still absorbing. The TIF is now more important than ever in terms of why we needed it before. We needed it more now. Next slide, please. This is a slide just talking about the assessed values. The assessed values were established by the county. We sent the county a plan. They used an average assessed value, which we'll talk about in the next slide, of $299,000 for the units. The reality is given cost increases and the homes that are built there, they'll be closer to probably $399,000 or $400,000, which means these revenue numbers will also increase from an assessment standpoint. But we modeled our TIF and our plan on the lower assessed value that was given us by Montgomery County Assessment, because that's a more conservative approach, and we thought it was better for the taxing bodies that are participating from that standpoint. Next slide. So this slide shows the participation of the borough and county from the projected property tax increments. And importantly, a TIF does not impact the borough or the county's other borrowing authorities. It is a tax that is imposed upon the district created through the TIF process, and the real estate tax revenue only. So the county, the county, the school district, and the borough all still benefit from employment taxes, from local services taxes, from any of the other taxes that would come on, transfer taxes being another big example. So those are all in addition to these real estate taxes. And there's also a NID that is proposed as a backup assessment to this. So the homeowners, when they live here, will have a NID that's probably in the $20 to $25 range at the time of assessment per month, which will be collected by the HOA. Next slide, please. Today, as Mr. Zellers had said, both the borough and the school district have taken their necessary action to this point. We are here today to ask you for your support. Next slide. Is that the end? Nope. As Mr. Zeller had said, we're asking for an $8.5 million TIF, which will include an interest reserve, pay all the fees, everything to do to get the bonds voted. There'll be about a $5.6 million net benefit to us. We have committed to restrict $500,000 of that to the borough. if they choose to enact a quiet zone, which would involve us working with the Federal Railroad Administration to eliminate the signaling at intersections. There's some insurance and logistical issues, but if not, we're going to use that for other public improvements, which is what all the TIF is. It can be used for site acquisition, it can be used for soft costs, but it's really to finance, and we're using it to offset the public improvement parts. The borough is taking dedication of all the roads. The borough is taking dedication to sewer and water systems. Well, water systems, a PA American, but their sewer system. The TIF will expire at the end of 20 years. We anticipate it might be able to pay it off a little sooner given the assessment benefit. Next slide. Again, reiterating, we're asking for your support of 50% of the real estate property tax revenue generated by this project. Importantly, under a TIF, if the project is slower or sells slower, the revenue falls off, the county is not obligated to use any of this other tax revenue, nor is the borough, to support or fund the debt obligations. It has to come out of the TIF district. Next slide. Just talking about some goals. I mean, we will generate, and our modeling shows about 63 new permanent jobs in terms of construction within the Commonwealth and the surrounding area, about 500 construction jobs. There's also the activation of 7,000 square feet of retail space, commercial space, which didn't previously exist. But we view this as the catalyst, much like when Conshohocken was redeveloped and Manayunk. This is the opportunity to redevelop Fort Street. And we're already seeing interest, and I know the borough is seeing interest from other developers and other opportunities now because the population that's necessary to drive commercial interest is being brought in. Next slide. Is that the last one? One last thing that I'll mention, I know Kayleigh Silver's here to talk about the affordable housing component. We had already designed and permitted this project pretty close. The county asked last year when we were processing the TIF about an affordable housing component. It's important to remember Bridgeport, and I don't say this lightly, is an affordable place to live already in Montgomery County, given its median income and its average house prices. The house prices and the apartments that we're proposing to build are already below what you would see in Conshohocken or King of Prussia on a comparative basis. But we felt it important in working with the county that we show our commitment to that, and we've agreed and worked with the county on a plan to provide deed-restricted 6 affordable units. The borough has supported this. That will strike at 80% of the AMI and 60% of the AMI, and that will be collected within our TIF district, where we can move the units around so we're not sitting with a vacant unit. Not that I would expect someone to be a vacant unit. There is a priority to that process, which would be someone displaced by IDA, then someone from the borough of Bridgeport, and then a resident of Montgomery County, and then after that would open to the public. Knowing the housing crisis that we all see, I find it hard to believe that we won't be able to fill 6 units, but you also don't want to be sitting with something while someone's qualifying for 2 months. So we have the ability to move those units around, and 2 of those units that we build will be fully ADA accessible and compliant, in addition to whatever's required by code. So we thought that was an important piece of this as well. And with that, if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but I don't want to steal too much of Kayleigh's thunder. Okay. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for the overview of the housing affordability component. I'm just going to go into a couple more quick details and have a slideshow about this specific component. As Mr. Zellers mentioned, this housing affordability agreement was agreed to as a result of a county-led directive that if a project is seeking a public benefit, such as the tax credits being sought today, that the county would like to see the project to deliver a public good in the form of affordable homes. So I want to thank Bridgeport and the developer and all the other partners on this project for coming together to come to this agreement. So the agreement as it currently stands as part of the overall project, the developer will agree to provide 6 affordable home units. There will be 3 units renting to households that equal 60% of the area median income as determined by HUD or below. So these 3 units will be 1 2-bedroom unit and 2 1-bedroom unit. And then another 3 units will be rented to households that meet 80% of the area median income or below, as determined by HUD. And these will again be 1 2-bedroom unit and 2 1-bedroom units. As mentioned before, 2 of these units will also be ADA compliant, and there will be a deed restriction of 25 years for this affordability component. Next slide, please. So just to give the public and the commissioners and the staff here an idea of what that means, around 60% of the ADA median income and 80%, these are the current income limits. It is based on household size that you will see on this screen. So, you know, we wouldn't expect anyone, likely there wouldn't be more than a 4-person household in a 2-bedroom unit, although there are AMIs for 5 persons, 6 persons, et cetera, that we would then use. And then the rent would not exceed 30% of the household's income as determined on a yearly basis. Next slide, please. And then, so we already talked about sort of priority populations for filling these units. As mentioned, we are in a housing affordability crisis nationwide, and so there should be no struggle to fill these units based on those AMIs. We will be giving preference to Bridgeport residents displaced by Hurricane Ida, or should none seek to fill those units with that characteristic, by individuals in other municipalities who are suffering from the housing affordability crisis. And with that, is there next slide? Or thank you, Teresa. Is there, Mr. Nugent or Mr. Truman, would you like to say? No, great.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Keith Truman. I'm the Borough Manager of Bridgeport. Mr. Stein, Mr. Soltesiak, thank you for having us. Merely to reiterate what Mr. Maris had already relayed to you, this is truly an opportunity for transformative change for Bridgeport Borough as we continue our attempt and our goal to reinvigorate and revitalize a good, once mighty factory town that in 2001 lost the business park that was an economic hub and generator and driver in the community. And we, PRDC, Mr. Maris and Mr. Perlman have been fantastic community partners, put a lot of equity into the community before they had any assurances of council's buy-in to their project. And we thank you as well as the school district and the county administrative staff on this project for any consideration that you'll give today. So with that, I will step down. Thanks.
All right, I'm going to get a motion on the table. I will move that the Montgomery County Commissioners hereby approve the tax increment financing project presented for the property in Bridgeport Borough, Montgomery County, as more fully described in this resolution, subject to the conditions attached hereto as Exhibit 1. Be it further resolved that the proper county officials, subject to the approval of the county solicitor, are hereby authorized to take such actions and to execute and deliver such documents as may be necessary or appropriate for the implementation of the TIF project consistent with this resolution, including, without limitation, execution of a tax increment financing cooperation agreement by and among the borough, the school district, the county, and the authority in substantially the form presented. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Winder. So this has been a long time coming. Feels like a long time for me, so I can't imagine how long it feels for you, Mr. Maris. But I want to commend you. I want to commend the borough as well for working with us on the affordability component on this. We know when you originally conceived the plans a long time ago, we weren't in quite the crisis that we were. Hurricane Ida had not happened, but I'm thrilled that we were able to work this out, and I'm thrilled with the resolution that we will give priority to placement of Bridgeport residents who were displaced, because we know that many were. So I just want to thank you and congratulate you. We actually got to see the project from the river, as you heard earlier today. So it is coming along nicely, and I intend to support this resolution.
So the only thing I would say, I would commend you as well, and let this be a model for other developers too, to be a part of the solution to our affordable housing crisis. I don't know where we came up with 6 units, but just really thrilled that you didn't have to do that, right? But you made a commitment to helping those that need more affordable housing options. So I'm looking forward to seeing it come to fruition.
I'm also pleased to support this tax increment plan. As has been stated, this certainly has been a long time coming. And to get to this stage with local approvals from the borough, obviously the local public that lives in that area approves of this project and what it will bring to the future of Bridgeport Borough, and I thank the manager for joining us today. But also right across the river to Norristown, the county seat, and when you consider the significant amount of capital improvement we made with the Lafayette Street Extension project, I hope to see that revitalization carry over to the Norristown side, and this plays a very key role in that. So thank you for investing and improving the riverfront Bridgeport, and I'm excited to see how the project develops in the future.
All right. If we have no other comments or questions, we'll move on to a vote. Are there any negative vote? Motion passes.
You're all kind of stuff. We're really proud of it. And it couldn't have happened without the support of the borough. And really, this was a true, you said, a public-private partnership in a way across the board, not just on the affordability index or affordability issue, but really for the entire process. And it shows what happens when you work together. So thank you. We look forward to more opportunities.
Absolutely.
Mr. Truman, tell President Schenck to stop calling me now.
I'll do my best.
Thanks. Mr. Stein, we have an authorization release for Collegeville District Court.
Yes, thank you very much. This is an authorization for a lease for Judge Rebar's Court at 38120, located at 133 Level Road in Lower Providence Township. You may recall you approved a 1-year extension for this lease back in March. However, that had an option to terminate after 6 months because we were anticipating moving into this new location. Besides being larger, the location at Ridge Pike and Cross Keys Road, also in Lower Providence, will be up to standards for security concerns regarding entrance and access for both staff and visitors, not requiring that they go through the same entrance and exits that incarcerated folks may be coming in through. This would go into effect in July and would be $22.90 a square foot for the first year with 2% annual increases thereafter. It would be for a 15-year term.
All right, thank you. I'll make a motion that the proper county officials, in accordance with the authority conferred by law, subject to the approval of the county solicitor, are hereby authorized to execute the necessary documents to enter into a lease agreement with Rick Muscarello to house District Court 38120 at 3860 Ridge Pike, Collegeville for a 15-year term and an annual rent as outlined in the attached Exhibit A. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Winder. Is there any board comment or questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Motion passes. We have a couple of appointments. I will move to appoint Ryan Beltz as a farmer director to serve the remaining term of Daniel Price that is set to expire on December 31st, 2025, and to serve at the pleasure of the county commissioners and in accordance with the state conservation district law. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Winder. I will just comment that Mr. Beltz is the executive director of the Procurement Watershed Conservancy, so works very closely on water issues, and we're thankful for his service. Any other comments? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Motion passes. I will move that Kelly Devine and Michael Thompson be appointed as board members to the SEPTA Citizens Advisory Committee for terms that begin immediately and expire on June 29th, 2025, and to serve at the pleasure of the county commissioners and in accordance with the current duly adopted bylaws. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Winder. Is there any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. Are there any negative votes?
I'm a negative vote.
Motion passes 2-1. We will move on to personnel. Welcome, Catherine.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to be here today. It is an honor. You should have in front of you final copy of the Commissioners Department's personnel list. It is a 4-page document dated Wednesday, June 28th, 2023, with a timestamp of 8:30 a.m. All positions have been reviewed and accounted for and are presented for consideration.
I'll move to approve the June 29th, 2023 personnel presentation as given by Chief Human Resources Officer Catherine Halen, and to authorize the proper county officials to execute the same. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Winder. Any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. Any negative votes? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Advertisements and bids and RFPs.
Yes, we have an RFP on behalf of Health and Human Services for workforce capacity and training needs assessment consultants. The successful responder will provide consultant services to assess optimal staffing and structure and a workforce development and training plan for the Office of Public Health. Contract will be awarded to the highest rated responder. 2, RFP on behalf of Health and Human Services for data compiling and reporting consultant. The successful responder will provide consultant services to meet the requirements of Pennsylvania's Department of Human Services Office of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, Consolidated Community Reporting Initiative submissions. Contract will be awarded to the highest rated responder. 3, RFP on behalf of Health and Human Services Office of Drug and Alcohol for medication-assisted treatment providers. The successful responder will provide medication-assisted treatment to county residents using best practices. Services must be available on weeknights and weekends. Contract will be awarded to the highest rated responder. All RFPs and bids are available on the county's purchasing website at www.montcopa.org/purchasing.
I'll make a motion to approve the preceding request for the advertisements of RFPs as described by the Deputy Chief Operating Officer, Barbara O'Malley, and to authorize the proper county officials to execute the same, subject to the approval of the county solicitor. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Winder. Any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Motion passes. Awards of contract.
Number 1, contract award assets and infrastructure, document destruction, Titan Mobile Shredding LLC of Pipersville, PA, $209,067. Contract provides for the pickup and on-site shredding services for confidential county documents. RFP 2339 was viewed by 16 providers with 4 responses received. Contract is awarded to the highest rated responder. Contract is for a period of 3 years with 2 optional annual renewal terms. 2, contract award assets and infrastructure, Phase 2 upgrades of the Milk House building renovation at the Norristown Farm Park. Bow Architecture LLC of Elkins Park, PA, $47,000. Contract provides for design and construction documentation, bid services, construction administration, final inspection and closeout for the Milk House building renovation at the Norristown Farm Park. RFP 2340 was viewed by 83 firms with 7 responses received. Contract is awarded to the highest rated responder. 3, contract award District Attorney, Electronic Communication Software, PenLink Ltd. of Lincoln, Nebraska, $43,897. Contract provides for licensing and maintenance of the PenLink software package for real-time and historical collection of legally obtained communications from telecommunication providers and social media providers. Software is proprietary. 4, contract award Human Resources Commercial Lines of Insurance, KMRD Partners Incorporated of Warrington, PA, $1,512,766. Authorizing the purchase of 19 insurance policies for commercial liability coverage for the 7/1/2023 to 6/30/2024 term. General liability, law enforcement liability, business auto, public officials liability, employment practices liability, lead excess, first excess property, pollution liability, fine arts for Peter Wentz Farmstead, Pennypacker Mills, and Pottsgrove Manor, fine arts for Audubon Collection, fiduciary liability, crime, healthcare professionals, lawyers professionals, excess workers' compensation, travel accident for the bomb squad, hazmat, and USAR, accidental death and dismemberment for economic and workforce development programs, adult probation, volunteers, and foster parent liability. 5, contract award Information and Technology Solutions, computer hardware and software, Lightspeed IS Incorporated of Woodbury, Minnesota, $140,788. Contract provides for computer hardware and software for cloud-based, on-premises backup services. Equipment is available through a PA CoStarz contract. Multiple quotes obtained. 6, contract award security. Security cameras for Cherry Street Garage, Integrated Security Systems LLC of Solderston, PA, $25,720. Contract provides installation of 8 security cameras for the Cherry Street Garage. Cameras will be integrated into the existing county security system. Services are proprietary. 7, contract award public safety, parking lot paving and repainting services at the Eagleville campus, Mico Constructors Incorporated of Bensalem, PA, $165,425. Contract provides for milling, repaving, and repainting of parking areas at the county's Emergency Operations Center located at 50 Eagleville Road in Eagleville. Specification 6505 was viewed by 7 providers with 2 responses received. Contract is awarded to the lowest responsible bidder. 8, contract award public safety painting services for the Public Safety Training Campus, L&L Legacy Enterprises LLC of Philadelphia, PA, $132,000. Contract provides painting and related services for various interior and exterior surfaces at the Public Safety Training Campus. Specification 6506 was viewed by 7 providers with 3 responses received. Contract is awarded to the lowest responsible bidder. 9, contract renewal, public safety, disaster debris monitoring services, Debris Tech LLC of Picayune, Mississippi, standby contract. Contract provides for no-cost standby contract with the disaster debris monitoring services to complement activation of the current debris management plan and to work alongside the county's debris removal contractor as per RFP 2143. This is the first of 4 optional annual renewals. 10, contract amendment, assets and infrastructure, engineering and design services for the replacement of County Bridge number 190, traffic planning and design incorporated of Pottstown, PA, $16,959.48. Original contract provided engineering design services for County Bridge number 190, also known as the Kime Street Bridge, which carries Kime Street over the Schuylkill River from Pottstown Borough to North Coventry Township in Chester County. Amendment provides for additional coordination required to obtain approval on the interpretive panel based on the State Historic Preservation Office comments. 11, contract amendment, assets and infrastructure, engineering. Bridge number 44 in Abington Township, Whitney Bailey Cox and Bagnani LLC of Wayne, PA, $23,000. Original contract provided for an engineering firm to perform the required engineering, environmental permitting, and construction consultation for the replacement of County Bridge number 44, Morden Road over Pennypack Creek in Abington Township. Amendment provides for anticipated drilling services required to assess the foundation of the structure. 12, contract amendment, security. Wiring for cameras at Cherry Street Garage, Atlantic Coast Communications of Pennsauken, New Jersey, $31,333.73. Contract provides conduit and wiring required for the camera installation at the Cherry Street Garage. Services are available through an existing county cabling contract. 13, contract amendment, public safety. HVAC replacement, Chadwick Service Company of Bensalem, PA, $4,371.68. Contract provided for the replacement of the HVAC rooftop system at the Fire Academy. Amendment provides for required modifications to the Fire Academy's main electrical distribution panel in order for it to meet current electrical code and supply power to the new rooftop units. 14, reimbursement agreement, assets and infrastructure, Bridge number 10, Woodmont Road over Arrowmink Creek in West Conshohocken, PennDOT, $600,000. Authorization request for agreement between PennDOT and Montgomery County provides for a funding agreement reimbursing the county for the Woodmont Road Bridge over Arrowmink Creek in West Conshohocken Borough. Agreement allows for the reimbursement to the county for preliminary engineering costs. Reimbursement agreement provides for 100% reimbursement to the county. 15, contract amendment, information and technology services, vaccine software, Microsoft Corporation of Redmond, Washington, $85,722.50. Original contract provided for the support of the Microsoft Vaccine Management Program. Amendment provides for management services previously provided for support of the vaccine booster. 16, 3 contract renewals and 36 amendments for health and human services. Providers and services are listed at the end of the agenda and at the back of the room.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve the preceding awards contract as described by the Deputy Chief Operating Officer, Barbara O'Malley, and to authorize the proper county officials to execute the same, subject to the approval of the county solicitor. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Winder. Any board comment?
Yes, I support the contracts and contract amendments, other than contract amendment number 15. I oppose the original contract. That's IT services related to vaccine software and vaccine booster management. So I would like to remain consistent and oppose that amendment.
Okay. Do you want to amend and vote on that separately?
Sure, if you don't mind amending.
Okay. So we have a motion to amend for 1 through 15. I'll second that. Is that
It would be 1 through
14, sorry.
and 16.
1 through 14 and 16.
So that would be, yeah, so we're amending it to be approval for 1 through 15 and 16. That would be what's on the floor.
All right.
I'll second that.
All right. So it's been moved and seconded. So we are now voting on 1 through 14 and 16. Are there any comments or questions on that? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Motion passes. And I will make a motion to approve number 15, contract amendment for information technology services, vaccine software, Microsoft Corporation, Redmond, Washington. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Winder, and we'll move on to a vote. Are there any negative votes?
I'm a negative vote.
Okay, motion passes 2-1. Commissioner Gale opposed. And we will move on to awards of contract for emergency procurement.
Contract award, public safety HVAC temporary equipment rental, Industrial Drying Solutions of New Iberia, Louisiana, not to exceed $85,140. Contract provides for rental of a chiller at the Emergency Operating Center building while procurement of permanent unit occurs.
All right, I will make a motion by the County Commissioners that an actual emergency existed as defined by Section 1802B of the County Code, thereby permitting the County of Montgomery through its Chief Clerk, Chief Operating Officer to enter into such contracts without meeting the requirements of Section 1802 of the County Code as may be required to maintain HVAC service at the Emergency Operating Center. Be it further resolved that the proper county officials, in accordance with the authority conferred by law, subject to the approval of the county solicitor, are hereby authorized to enter into a contract with Industrial Drying Solutions of New Iberia, Louisiana, to provide for rental of a chiller for the Emergency Operating Center building at an estimated cost of $85,140. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Winder. Is there any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Motion passes. And we'll move on to awards of contract, major construction projects.
Yes, contract amendment, construction management services for the rehabilitation of the Norristown Public Library, Skanska USA Building Incorporated of Parsippany, New Jersey, $212,480. Original contract provided for construction management services, including pre-construction estimating and consulting services with expertise in construction logistics, scheduling, and costs. Amendment provides for the addition of optional services not included in the original contract award, including asset management, schedule maintenance management, and safety monitoring.
I'll make a motion to approve the preceding award of contract as described by the Deputy Chief Operating Officer, Barbara O'Malley, and to authorize the proper county officials to execute the same, subject to the approval of the county solicitor. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Winder. Any board comment?
Yes, it's well known that I have concern related to the high capital spending put forward by the county, and I'm in favor of rehabbing the public library here in Norristown. However, I have concerns about the costs of the project, and I oppose the original contract for construction management services, and I'm going to also oppose the amendment to that contract for construction management services due to the cost level. So I'll be a no vote.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to a vote then. Are there any negative votes?
I'm a negative vote.
Commissioner Gale, negative vote. Motion passes 2-1. And we'll move on to awards of contract for the Southeast PA Regional Task Force.
Yes, contract amendment, Cloud Services, DLT Solutions LLC of Clearwater, Florida, $20,000. Original contract provided for cloud services to support the Montgomery County Law Enforcement Records Management System. Amendment provides for additional funding required for increased usage.
I'll make a motion to approve the preceding award of contract on behalf of the Southeast PA Regional Task Force as described by the Deputy Chief Operating Officer, Barbara O'Malley, and to authorize the proper county officials to execute the same, subject to the approval of the county solicitor. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Winder. Any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Motion passes. Do we have any closing commissioner comments? All right, I will announce that our next Board of Commissioners meeting will be July 20th, 2023. And I'll make a motion to adjourn the June 29th, 2023 meeting in the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Winder. Any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Meeting adjourned. We will convene Salary Board. Controller Sanchez joins us.
Thank you.
Do we have any public comment on Salary Board? All right, then we will move on to our presentation.
Good morning, members of the Salary Board. You should have in front of you the final copy of the Salary Board list. It is a 5-page document dated Wednesday, June 28th, 2023, with a timestamp of 8:30 a.m. All positions have been reviewed and accounted for and are presented for Salary Board consideration.
Is there a motion to approve the June 29th, 2023 Salary Board presentation as given by Chief Human Resources Officer Catherine Halen and to authorize the proper county officials to execute the same?
So moved.
Moved by Controller Sanchez. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Winder. Is there any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Motion approved. Is there a motion to adjourn the June 29, 2023 meeting of the Montgomery County Salary Board?
So moved.
Moved by Controller Sanchez. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Winder. Is there any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to the vote. Are there any negative votes? Meeting is adjourned.